I'm former Mayor Debbie Peterson, host of Corruption Chronicles, and this is Who Are They Texting? Part 2 of the 2025 annual Grover Beach Citizens Oversight Committee, set up by a ballot measure approved by more than 2/3 of the voters to ensure that 2 sales taxes and a street repair bond are spent appropriately. The Brown Act referenced here is the California Sunshine or Transparency Law that ensures that there will be no secret meetings of government boards. These citizens often see elected representatives on the dais during meetings, apparently texting other council members, staff members, perhaps people in the audience, even viewers at home. And that's why they're asking here, who are they texting? Part 1 ended with Board Member Reynolds asking why the city manager is interrupting to interject questions sent by the absent Board Member Lee. Will she be allowed to continue? Watch on.
So you can ask the board chair, like you would like to make that objection.
Come again?
So you're objecting to the questions generally?
I am objecting to a person that is not a member of this committee interjecting in this committee's meeting. There's no space for her to interject with this proposal. Where in procedure and Robert's rules does it say that it's no different than a member of the public comments.
We don't utilize Robert's rules.
What do we utilize?
Rosenberg's rules. And so under that, she's simply notifying the committee that there was questions submitted by a fellow committee person regarding the report.
Is there any difference between what Ms. Erickson or another city employee can do during this meeting than what a member of the public can do?
Yes, because she's acting in the purview of the city manager, for all intents and purposes, during the committee. So she's helping to guide the committee by providing the information that has been provided by the public.
But the help wasn't solicited. No one in the committee asked for that. I don't understand why there is.
Nobody's taking minutes.
The committee know that there was questions that were submitted by Mr. Lee.
I understand what she's doing. It does not appear to be procedurally appropriate. I just don't understand where a non-committee member has the right to object into a committee's discussion with their own ideas, thoughts, or on behalf of a third party.
They're not objecting. They're simply notifying the chair that not on behalf of a third party, but as a fellow committee member.
A third party who's not present.
Submitted questions. That's all she's doing is notifying you. And if you would like to hear those and the responses to those, it might provide some illumination to questions. That was simply the interjection.
Absent
But
that
they wouldn't let
notification,
him talk, but she
no
gets to
committee member
talk.
up here would have known of those questions or would have had a thought to ask any of those questions. Should anyone choose to ask one of those questions, it will be at the influence of her participation in interjection. That is a disruption of committee business. That is inappropriately influencing committee members during the course of a regularly scheduled meeting when she was not asked to do so. I just want city management and other participants in attendance that are not members of the committee to not interject with new information because it is not their authority or position to do so. So let's just follow the rules on that.
So it is a city presentation. The city will provide information as needed to help the committee. You can move on.
Okay, what about the citizens? So we do have questions from Jeff Lee. I have them here, but do you?
Staff also has.
Yeah, I have them. I can read them into the
All right,
record.
thank you.
I'm going to object. I'm going to object. Since when do government officials get to conduct business remotely?
So you had a chance to contact any city staff person and ask a question on anything that we do. And that's what Jeff Lee did. He asked several questions. The answers might help.
Well, and those answers could be responded in writing. Those can be made available.
They were responded in writing.
Okay.
So
If we have
that's
responses
what
in
they're
writing, then why is that not disseminated? Why are we?
So if
He
you
asked the
need to
questions,
move
we are
forward with the
getting
meeting,
answers.
you're ready to read.
Okay, sure. Continue, please.
Okay, thank you. Earlier,
like the
Jeff Lee
devices won't work.
provided us a set of questions, so I'll just read them and then provide answers. Question, perhaps I missed it, but can you please explain to me the following K-14 revenue, expenses, and fund balance? Thereas bond revenues are 38 million, And in addition, there's $569,381 in transfers and interest earnings, so for total revenue. Expenses program to date have been $34,904,214. The fund balance, this point was there's $4,302,355 versus $365,166 in the report cited from page 51 to page 28. And the explanation for the difference is that the accrued amount of activity that took place in FY 2023, but was paid in FY 2024-25. Excuse me. Second question. In the transaction report / detailed report, there are numerous credits and JEs to reflect reverse charges. Can you please clarify those transactions? This is mostly the result of the transition from our old ERP system to our new ERP system. In the transition, account balances were imported, and then several journal entries were performed to ensure fund balances were appropriately matched from system to system. There are also journal entries to transfer funds to Fund 201, where project activity was expensed but owed by another fund, such as water or sewer. On page 187, there is a JF will charge indicating rework to Astound/LTEC damage. Did the city seek reimbursement from Astound/LTEC or the contractor for that rework? Answer: the city has.
I'm sorry, page 187. I'm trying to follow what you're doing here. What page? Page 187.
187.
Right, I don't have a page 187. It stops at page 153.
I think it's the total packet. So you're 187.
Is it difficult for the committee to understand the references?
I'm going to continue to read the questions and answers, and then we'll provide you the.
Well, for the benefit of the committee, right? For the benefit of us to be informed, and if I can't see what you're talking about, page one.
Page number it is on the packet.
I can look.
Right, this is not perfunctory.
It's page 9 of the detailed report.
Thank you.
It is page what?
Page 9 of the detailed report. It should be at
Which
the
is
very
the
back
last
of the
section of your packet.
Yes, ma'am. The detailed report. Am I okay to proceed?
I still do not know where you are at, and I'm trying to figure out based on what she's showing me where this is in reference. Is there a page number on any of the PCD pages?
This is 12.
Page 9 of our detailed report that's at the end of the packet.
Yeah, it starts with a page starts and then there's,
144, there's a number. Okay, we're making progress.
and then it first it stops at 150. As soon as it starts at 153.
There we go.
And
There we go. And so is what you're looking at 144 on the bottom of the center page?
On page 187.
Well, in the PDF, but like on
I'm just reading the responses that we provided in the, I'd have to find it in the packet. I'm just reading the responses that I have in email. Let me get this.
Just ask.
Which attachment number is that there?
It is the detailed report.
Which is?
So it's right after the app.
Which is which attachment?
I believe it's one of the third attachments.
The last page of attachment three.
For your packet.
Yes, ma'am.
is this it?
The detailed report, yes, ma'am.
I don't see it. 102.
Am I okay to proceed?
I still do not know where you are at, and I'm trying to figure out based on what she's showing me where this is in reference.
It's supposed to be back.
Is there a page number on any of the PCD pages?
This is, let's see, 12 and 13. It stops
Page
at-
9 of our detail report that's at the end of the packet.
Yeah, it stops where the pages stop, and then there's,
144, there's a number. Okay, we're making progress.
and then it's 146, 148, it stops at 150. As soon as it stops at 153,
There we go.
and
There we go. And so is what you're looking at 144 on the bottom of the center page?
On page 187.
Well, in the PDF, but like on
I'm
the,
just reading the responses that we provided in the, I'd have to find it in the packet. I'm just reading the responses that I have in email. Let me get that too.
Which attachment number is that, Mike?
It is the detail report.
Which is?
So it's right after the ACFR.
Which attachment?
I believe it's going to be the third attachment.
The last page of attachment 3 then.
Page 13?
Yeah, it is 187, and so it's page 9. So that's still the ACFR. If you keep going back, there should be a detail report, which
like
is
earlier in pages, we see back?
no, like towards the end. Sorry.
Do you have a report that looks like this?
It should say detail report at the top left. That's how you know you got to the right section.
Yeah, she's got it in here.
Yes, so that's the
it's very
very.
tiny though, I will have to say, I need glasses, I think, because I can hardly see.
Looks like it got printed in a portrait view from here.
We're looking at the same thing a second ago, you know?
I know, I go through that all the time.
Is it before direct and overlapping property tax rates?
No,
It
it's
is
the-
after.
after.
So
It's
it's
very
a
last
part
page.
of the actual expense line items that we provided.
Principal property taxpayers?
No, that's still the act for,
Property tax levies and collections?
still the act for.
I don't know what order he's put things in, but it is page 185 in the agenda pack.
Yes, that's what it is. And it's,
Was this added to the agenda packet after
Yes.
the initial upload?
No.
Because I printed out the
Oh.
entire thing.
After your request to have it added, yes, it was added on that Friday.
Well, the trial balance was added on that Friday. Was there a third thing added? Was there a third
This
edition?
is in the agenda. And it is on page 187.
Hey, Jonathan, maybe somebody can point it out in here for you.
There was no notification that the agenda was updated, and so now I am here, trying to proceed as a committee member without the full agenda.
We
should have enough
forward when you're ready.
I'll do more research.
I'm still trying to get there.
Cancel.
So
The detail
the
report.
second question was about Astound being charged.
Yes, and the
Well, this committee member is still trying to make sure I'm on the same page. Is this the right page? Am I here now?
yes, so you're almost there. You're on the right attachment.
Is it one of
So
the,
it is the second to last page on that report.
so it says page 2 of 13? Is it page?
Yeah, so go ahead and keep going. It should be the page 11 of 13.
Page 11, okay.
Sorry,
11
it's
of
numbered a
13.
little wonky.
You think?
Okay, it's, the first line item is CIP 2295?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
got it. I'm
Yes.
on the same page. Thank you, Brenda.
So, taking it from the top, on page 187, there is a JF Will charge indicating rework due to Astound LTech damage. Did the city seek reimbursement from Astound LTech or the contractor for that work? The city has been reimbursed, but after the close of FY 2023-2024 fiscal year, which would not reflect this in this report. So essentially we got paid after July 1. Question 4, how does the audit ensure consultants who work on multiple efforts for the city, example given, AM Peche Associates on page 185, are coding to the correct efforts, that being K14 versus another fund center? Program management reviews invoice. The response is program management reviews invoices and ensures payment is coded to the correct fund and account. Secondary review is done by a accounts payable clerk, as well as finance manager, with at least 4 levels of review on each invoice. Invoices are sampled by the city's independent auditor during the year-end process to make sure that they're in compliance. So those were Jeff's questions and our responses.
Okay.
Can I ask when those were added to the agenda package?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
But I do need to seek clarification from Chair Holden. You are, right now, you have text messages from Jeff Lee on your phone, is that correct? Were those messages sent to you prior to the commencement of this meeting?
Yes,
Okay, Mr. Lamelli.
they were sent to the city as well.
And 2 committee members having communications outside of a regularly scheduled meeting constitutes a Brown Act violation, does it not?
No, it does not.
Well, Mr. Hale, your predecessor, told me when I sent an email to a singular committee that it was violative of the Brown Act for being a serial communication. So I would ask for your definition as to the serial communication so I can understand whether there's been any
Serial
impropriety.
communication has multiple ways in which it can arise.
Could you speak up again?
A serial committee has several ways in which it can arise. It can either be a spoke and wheel type of a scenario, or it can be a daisy chain scenario. Essentially, 2 council or committee members or council members, body members, can discuss items between themselves. They cannot discuss it involving a third person on the committee or the council.
what about what we're seeing here
So-
with the council members on their cell
I'm
phones?
sorry, please.
So essentially, what would constitute a Brown Act violation would be if the statements of one were given to one council member and then they were also provided to this other council member. That would constitute a serial meeting.
So we had 2 committee members exchange communications, and a third party, being someone in city management, was copied on that. Is that not exactly what you just described?
So the questions were sent to the city, is what I'm assuming has happened, separately of whatever communication you had with Mr. Lee.
Yeah.
So that does not constitute a serial meeting.
So 2 people
The
on the
city,
committee
city
exchanged
staff does not
information,
constitute.
and that information
member.
was then given to a third party.
Not any third party,
Him.
a member of the.
And if it would have been given to another committee member, it would have constituted a meeting. But it wasn't, it was sent to staff. That would be like saying that I couldn't meet with every single council member individually, because that would constitute a meeting.
Can you meet with 2 of them at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so our recommended action is to review the information and consider approval of the Oversight Committee annual report for submission to the City Council.
We have not had the opportunity to ask questions yet. Are we about to open the floor
Okay.
for that?
Yes.
Would anyone else like to proceed before me? Okay, and so I have a few lines of questions for our CFO. I also have some questions for our city attorney. At the council meeting on Monday, Mr. Lamelli opined, in response to comments I had made about the business of this committee, he opined that the intent as shown in the staff reports shows that how Grover Beach is doing it aligns with what the intent of the staff reports was. This is me trying to direct quote you, so I apologize if I butchered that. But what is your legal opinion that the intent of staffers has a bearing on legal relevance? What is the basis of that legal opinion?
So the opinion was provided to city council.
Right, well, what is the basis of the opinion? What legal authority or doctrine or jurisprudence suggests that staffer intent is relevant?
Yeah, so that information was provided to council under attorney-client privilege.
So this is a committee of the city, and so you are our attorney as well.
I understand that.
And so you're our attorney, and I'm sitting here as a committee member asking you for legal advice on behalf of the city and this
I
committee.
won't provide that in open session.
So,
If you would like, I could send you something under attorney-client privilege to email.
I don't know what is privileged about jurisprudence.
It is privileged because I'm the city attorney, and so my job is to ensure that the city is not exposed to unnecessary risk.
What's the communication that's privileged? What's the specific privileged communication?
The information that you're requesting, I will send it to you.
So you're telling me that you did send the city an explanation of your legal position, and because you put it in writing, it's a privileged communication. So it's in writing, so I could CPRA it and you guys would object for privilege.
That's
If it's
correct.
not in writing, privilege doesn't apply.
Any information that I provide to council is privileged because I am their attorney.
And you understand that attorney-client
No,
privilege
you're our
requires
attorney.
communication in furtherance of the relationship.
It does.
Okay, and so if there was no communication, then there's nothing privileged about the content of what I'm requesting.
Again, I would reiterate what I said during the council meeting in an open comment. Was
So,
that
as,
it is our position that the staff report and wording within the ordinances, as has been practiced and prior legal advice that was given, comports with what is happening.
so yes, the history does comport with what's happening. There has not been change. I agree with that. But you're a city attorney. This is a committee of the city. And I'm just going to read this statute to you, this ordinance. Section 10, accountability requirements. In accordance with sections 53.410 and 53.411 of the California Government Code, the City Council hereby adopts the following accountability requirements relating to the bonds. Quote, a separate account called Street Construction Designated Fund shall be created and held by the city, into which the proceeds of the bonds are deposited. And so, in your comments to the council the other night, you said that you did not believe that it actually needed to be deposited into a separate account.
Those were not my comments.
And, well, it's recorded, and I transcribed them.
Those were not my comments.
Okay, so then let me ask you, what is your interpretation of what separate account into which the proceeds of the bond are deposited? What do you think that means?
Again, I will not comment to that in open session.
And this is the, well, then I'm going to move to close the session for that discussion.
Is there a second?
And without a second, I'm going to continue to request the same, because this is a meeting of the Citizens Oversight Committee. You do not represent city management. You represent the city, including all of its bodies, including this one. And I, as a committee member, need to understand what our position is regarding the applicability of this provision. And I need your help understanding that.
That's correct.
And I need your help understanding it in front of the public that's observing and who has an interest in this.
I understand that, but just as an attorney for anyone else, I won't comment on that in open session. I can send you the information.
Okay, so it's
let me ask you this
established that you
question.
can,
I have
meet
additional
with
questions,
the-
Chair Bolton. Thank you.
Okay, but this particular issue is done. He will
I
comment
have
with you
further questions, Chair Holden,
another-
thank you. And so my next question is, what do you believe the committee needs to do to determine K-14 compliance? Or do you believe the committee needs to determine K-14 compliance?
I wouldn't opine on that here.
You
It's not
believe
for me to decide.
the city is at risk of liability for a private attorney general's action to enforce this ordinance?
Indeed.
Again, I'm not going to opine on that here.
Okay, because I believe that there are sufficient resources for a packet to be filed on this. I'm aware of where those resources are. And so I just want to make sure, is that the same position you're going to take in appoints and authorities filed with the court?
Again, I'm not going to opine on that in open session.
And so I'll note that the committee is not receiving the benefit of legal counsel as to the interpretation of the measures pertaining to this function of the Citizens Oversight Committee. It says, charged with an annual review of bond proceed expenditures. Do you have anything to say regarding what that means?
No.
And so you have no opinion on either of those sections. Let me ask you this one. It says the maximum rate of interest to be paid on the bonds shall be 12% per annum. Do you have a legal opinion that we should be able to confirm that 12%?
Again, I'm not going to opine on those things now. This would take time to look into. If you had those questions, you could send those questions through staff, and then I would take a look at them and I could answer them at that time. But I'm not in a position right now, as the first time that I'm hearing about them, to opine on them now.
You say it's your first time hearing on them. Does that mean that you are not familiar with this ordinance?
Again, you're asking the questions for the first time now. I'm not going to opine on them now without having an opportunity to provide ample research to be able to answer your questions effectively.
Did you do ample research to reach the conclusion that you reached on Monday?
In our preliminary review, I stand by what I opined at the council meeting.
Okay, and then I have questions for our CFO. Actually, anyone from city staff is welcome to chime in on this one. Can someone tell me where in this report I can determine what was spent with K-14 proceeds? Where can I see that?
Sure. It's in the annual report, which is the very first portion of your packet. If you're looking for year to date, so as of when the bond was obligated by the city to now, those expenditures are going to be your total expenditures listed on page. Let's see here. That is going to be.
So there's going to be a figure there. I understand that. My question is are we supposed to say, okay, we have this information, you guys say you spent $10 million of bond proceeds on streets. Are we supposed to just simply accept that representation? How can I know that the content
That's
of that
not for us
million?
to decide if you're supposed to accept the representation, but as we noted, you didn't have a copy. It sounds like you didn't have a copy of the detailed report, which provides transactional level detail.
I did just review all of it though, and so I'm prepared to ask
So you
questions
do, okay.
about that now too.
Okay, so I think you're asking a question about whether or not you got it, but you did have it. You said you just reviewed it.
Because a member of the public gave it to me once she realized I did not have it.
The office.
But other people had it. So it wasn't withheld from you.
Well, if we want to get into the specifics of the city management choosing to update the agenda 3 times on Friday with the minimum amount of notice to be compliant with Brown Act, we can go there. I wasn't going to go there, but we can go there. That the city did update the agenda 3 separate times, and that after the 3rd update, they did not notify anyone about it. They only notified after the 2nd update with the trial balance.
All right, Mr. Reynolds,
That is his discussion. That is the point he made that I'm addressing. And Chair Holton, I'm sorry, but
We
unless
are
you have legal
finished
authority,
with
you
your-
do not have legal
I
authority
am
to
the
stop my
chair of the
questioning.
committee, and
Where's
we
your
have-
authority to stop my questions?
And
I'm going to
Jeff Lee
continue to
got it.
proceed. Thank you.
Jeff Lee got it.
And so I also want to ask about the citizens oversight message you referred to earlier. Do I have your attention? Where did you get the contents of that section from? How did you get the language for that section?
It existed in the report.
And so,
we updated the template.
okay, so this did not come from any of this committee. You guys are using that, and that's how it's in there.
I don't understand that question.
This committee did not say, here is language we would like you to include in the report, did it?
Well, you approved the report.
That's what we're doing today. Okay.
We've provided that language. It is existed in prior year's reports, so we used it again.
Okay, and then I have the last 3 years of the reports right here, and one of the things I want to bring your attention to is the table of contents, actually. Why is there a change in the inclusion or nomenclature of funds over time?
I'm not sure, and I'm not sure I'm prepared to speak to that particularly today, but that's a very broad question. So maybe if you could be more specific.
I can be. And so this report is from 2023. This report is from 2021. This is our current one. And on the 2023 report, we have no inclusion of a street improvements fund. On the 2021 report, there's a street improvements fund. In 2021, when I asked about this issue, I asked about whether there was a fund called Street Construction Designated Fund, as 1405 says there should be. And at that time, Ms. Purcell told us, no, there's not, but the Street Improvements Fund was that. Well, in 2023, Street Improvements Fund's not on here anymore. And in 2024, the Street Improvements Fund's not on here anymore. And so I'm trying to understand the genesis of the schedule of accounts through these reports over the last 3 years.
Okay, so can you state your question explicitly?
Why do some accounts exist in 2021 and then stop existing in 2023 and 2024.
I don't believe we changed in the last 2 years since I've arrived. We haven't changed the nomenclature on the account. The fund is Fund 201, which is the Street Rehabilitation and Repair Fund. I'm not aware of it changing in 2021. Was it named differently? I don't believe so.
I do have the comment. I have it right here. Street Improvements Fund. There is no Street Improvements Fund.
No, it doesn't. It might not have a number because you're looking at it from the after. So
It is the 201
Don't have
fund.
the 21. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't speak to it right now.
It is your 201 fund.
Okay.
Right. I do remember it is the 201. That is
Why
correct.
did it change? I don't know why it's referred to there.
Of our current ACFR. As for prior year, I don't think we would be able to comment
When
on
you
that.
say include, are you saying just in terms of the section in the report?
It is the.
Or are you saying there's a commingling between the
It's
segregation
not
and the account?
commingled. The way it's reported in financial accounting is it is a part of the governmental fund's balance sheet and schedule of revenues and expenditures. So when you have an accounting, your financial statements, it's a part of those financial statements. However, it's not commingled funds. It's just reporting differently on the pages of the ACFR.
It is broken out by its individual fund, the Street Rehabilitation and Repair Fund.
And the
As
current one?
listed on page 30 of the ACFR.
Page 30?
Of the ACFR.
And that's the one where the first number, top left, is 14,526,218?
No, that's the general fund. Next to it, Street Rehabilitation and Repair Fund.
Oh, sorry, same page though. We're looking at the same page.
Page
Okay,
30,
got it.
yes.
Okay. And so this is, you were confirming that Street Rehabilitation and Repair Fund is the same thing as the Street Construction Designated Fund, Ordinance 14-05.
Correct.
That's the same thing. And is there any reason why in this year we're still using Street Rehabilitation and Repair Fund rather than the statutory nomenclature?
The statutory nomenclature, no, and as a result of your comments at the meeting on Monday, we did have a conversation with our municipal advisor as to why it was named as such in the first place. There is no record as to why we named it differently than what was in the ordinance, so you'd actually have to speak to the Administrative Services Director when it was set up, who's no longer here. It's the Gayla Chapman, who was 2 directors ago prior, who set it up. So I don't know why it was named as such. But I did speak to our municipal advisor, and I wanted to make sure that there would be no negative externalities from actually making a change. But it seems as though we could ostensibly change the name as so long as it doesn't mess with any reporting or downstream requirements related to the general obligation bond.
I appreciate so much that you even took the time to have that discussion. I've been raising this issue for 4 years, and no one has given a damn. So thank you that you even thought to go talk to them about it. I appreciate that.